I don't normally get political, but I'm sporting a Canada shirt today. Oh, baby. But I guess it will get political when we talk about some of this new music. You know what I mean?
No.
Oh, okay. Well,
we look clean.
Yeah, we're on YouTube now. Shouts out to the YouTube. Yeah. Oh man. Well, there's only some things to talk about this week.
Barely any of them.
Barely any ever. But we did watch Secret Invasion. You're caught up now. I'm caught up now. We're gonna chat about it.
Yeah.
We're gonna chat about some of this new music. Not a whole lot by way of news these days.
Not a.
They say no news is good news.
Who says that?
Mostly terminally ill people, I think. But that's something, I guess. Anyways, let's get into this new music, man.
Yeah.
Young Thug Metro Boomin rather dropped the deluxe of Young Thug's album Business is Business with the new song Money featuring Juice WRLD and Nicki Minaj.
Oh yeah, I forgot to listen.
Dude.
That's the one that you said to listen to, right?
Yeah, it's freaking good.
Okay.
It's good.
Oh,
I like it a lot. It's one of the better vocal performances by Young Thug, mostly because I don't think he's trying to do anything weird. Like he just kind of vibes with the beat and he goes pretty smooth over it. He's really just on the chorus.
Oh, nice.
And then Juice and Nicki Minaj take a verse each. And Juice WRLD sounds really good. Like it's very suiting for him. The sample's pretty catchy and cool. So I liked it a lot. Cool. It's a vibe for sure.
I have to give that one a listen.
Yeah. I also listened. I don't know why I keep doing this to myself. I listened to the new Weeknd stuff from this week's Idol episode. And honestly, these ones weren't as bad content wise, but they're decent soundtrack songs. Lil Baby's on one. They're kind of weird, but like I feel like they fit the vibe of whatever. I feel like I'm just getting the vibes of this show without watching it, and
just by the soundtrack.
Just by the soundtrack, which I guess that's what a soundtrack's supposed to do, right. But I don't know why I subject myself to it. Anyways,
I forgot to tell you, some dude on TikTok, because I posted that video, he was like, something about like it's whack, like y'all should leave reviewing music to somebody who actually knows shiz. I was like, what?
But if that's your cup of tea, man, there's something wrong with you. But yeah, no, I don't think the song quality is bad. I just think the content of the songs is in question.
Yeah, I responded. I was like, we didn't say that like The Weeknd sucks. Just those songs are questionable. That's it. Like,
yeah,
calm down.
Well, there's that, I guess. Yeah, Lil Baby actually has a pretty good feature on the song False Idols. He opens with the first verse. And it's pretty good. I'm not the biggest Lil Baby fan, but he has his good moments that I really respect. Right. And I don't think this is like top tier for him, but it was pretty solid.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, I saw that one in just your words or in my mind.
That is questionable.
And I said, okay, I won't listen to it.
Yeah. Yeah, so that was the Weeknd's new music. I think there was only like one or two songs by him, but they were both just D's.
I only saw the one with Lil Baby.
Yeah, on
New Music Daily.
Right. They there wasn't a whole lot of new music. Was there anything that you checked out that you liked?
I wouldn't say I liked it. The only one that I saw and actually listened to was Olivia Rodrigo's new song Vampire. Not very good.
Yeah,
like I don't remember when her last album dropped. I want to say it was like last.
It was a while. It might have been 2 years, like 2021, end of 21, maybe.
So I'm just over here wondering why she's still talking about this dude. Like,
yeah, I mean, you mentioned before, and I think you were on to something. I feel like a lot of artists just adopt the aesthetic of wanting to be a sad breakup artist. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah. So, they're not all Black Bear.
No, but I mean, there's a lot of them like that. Like, honestly, Taylor Swift's like that a lot. like
Yeah.
she'll be in a healthy relationship and release half of an album on breakups. So yeah. So I mean,
Yeah.
I agree with you. It wasn't that good. I feel like Olivia Rodrigo has never really been a great music artist. I feel like she just has aesthetic that appeals to the demographic that is her fans. And I feel like that shows a lot with like lawsuits that she's had from ripping off Taylor Swift songs and
that's
ripping
hilarious.
off the band's name is blanking on me
Paramore?
right now. Yeah, Paramore.
Yeah.
Those lawsuits just because I feel like she's taken what those artists did really originally and just made it more accessible to a generation of fans that knows her and not them.
Right.
Yeah, so I don't really think she stands out in any way or does anything great. She just is like, I don't know, a safe pick for young music listeners of that demographic.
She has a solid voice. Like she's not bad at singing, just not good or not very good at songwriting. I'm not gonna say she's bad at it
for sure.
She has a couple good songs. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah, and when you're a pop star like that, I don't really think there's any excuse for it because I mean you can just hire anybody you want to write your songs, and it's not like lyrical hip hop where people are gonna be mad at you for doing that. Right. And honestly, in hip hop, people don't really care if you have co-writers if you give them credit. It's just when you take credit for their work, and so I don't know why like artists like her and other.
Just get help.
Yeah, seriously.
You'll make your money. Like
So I agree with you. I wasn't a big fan. I also listened to James Blake's Big Hammer new single. It was interesting. It was like an electronic song, which I know he does a lot of experimental stuff. I don't think it's as good as his mainstream stuff from like the Spider-Verse soundtrack and his features on Astro World and other projects like that, but it was interesting it was good if you like electronic music. It's not necessarily my favorite, but it had a cool sample and some cool beat switches and things like that. So cool, pretty cool production. But did you listen to the new Logic singles that came out the last 2 weeks?
Multiple?
Yeah, there was Check Please this week, and then there was one last week called, let's see if it pulls up here real quick. Figure It Out. Did you listen to either of those?
I did not.
Yeah. So Figure It Out was a very unnecessary return that nobody asked for to the Supermarket soundtrack sound that he did, where he's just like playing guitar and singing not very well and not very good writing. And like, if you want to make music that you like making, that's cool. But like, people are going to tear it apart if you do it bad. Oh, literally. Like, so that one wasn't very good. Figured out from 2 weeks ago, but Check Please features a couple artists that I think are on his label or that he's friends with, T. Castro and T-Man the Wizard. Yeah. And it was actually a pretty good song. Like it definitely had its corny moments, which isn't unfamiliar territory for Logic, but the flows were cool. The chorus was catchy and the beat was nice. I don't think it stood out in any spectacular way that I'd be like loving it, but it was really good quality, and I think that I would see myself returning to it occasionally just to kind of get some good hip hop sound from him. Cool. Yeah.
I like it.
I just realized the TV's on.
Also, I just realized I hope it doesn't stop on us. I did not bring the USBs.
Oh, that's all right. We're gonna power through then. Other new music. Decent track from Lupe Fiasco, Outside.
Like a new one?
Yeah, new one this week. It's got a very repetitive chorus, which it's cool, like kind of intoxicating and kind of catchy, but I don't know that I would like it's not his best work and it's not what I would ever go to him for, because there's artists that do that sound of like catchy hip hop stuff a lot better than he does. Whereas I feel like his lyrics and wordplay are things that are unique to him that he does really well. And there's some of that on there for sure, but not as much as like his great stuff. And another song that I don't think anybody asked for to hear was We Didn't Start the Fire, Fall Out Boy's 2023 cover of the Billy Joel song. And the cover art is what immediately made me concerned. It says, a Fall Out Boy cover of the Billy Joel song "We Didn't Start the Fire," covering newsworthy items from 1989 to 2023. And I'll start by saying Fall Out Boy doesn't sound bad on it.
Yeah.
Like their vocals are fine, the instrumentation's fine, like it's nothing special. But it's just such a song that I didn't ask for or didn't care to hear at all. Like
need to hear this.
I don't need to hear about Y2K and LeBron James and Iceland volcanoes. Like I get the appeal of like the song and like, oh, there's so much that's happened. And yeah, that's true. But like, I don't know. Billy Joel did it and did it fine. And like, it was unique for its time. And it just felt weird and uncomfortable. And they're like, Michael Jackson dies. And then, you know, LeBron James, it was such unnecessary, weird stuff. And then like, they're just talking about school shootings and all kinds of, like, I don't know, essentially the premise of We Didn't Start the Fire by Billy Joel, but just obviously with all the new news things, and it just wasn't needed at all, not even a little bit. And so Fall Out Boy,
Fall Out Boy, get ready to fall off, boy.
That was bad. that was bad. But yeah, I didn't ask for that one, so there's that. Oh, Wiz Khalifa, Ty Dolla dropped a track called "You." I don't know if you heard that one. It wasn't either their best works. I feel like those artists would go really well together, and I think they've made a couple tracks. Like I feel like they have collabs that are my mind is blanking on right now, but they sound fine together. Ty Dolla does well in the chorus. Wiz Khalifa has some iffy vocal moments on the first verse, but kind of figures it out more into the song. But like I said, both artists just have such better sounds and catalogs that I would never really like be interested in returning to this song. But it is cool to hear them both do something together again and something a little newer. Let's see. Last new song. Oh, I have two new songs that I also listened to. The new Mammoth Wolfgang Van Halen rock song. I shouted him out a couple weeks ago. He had a new song come off his new album that's coming out in a little bit called Take a Bow. And it's a hefty one, dude. It's copyright again. It's 7 minutes.
That's a long one.
Yeah, and it's got some cool moments, but it feels like I wish it would have been shortened and more powerful in its moment, because it felt like it took 7 minutes to get to like what 2.5 minutes of time should have been able to like you should have been able to pack in, just in that, like, I don't know, it ebbed and flowed so much that like it felt unnecessarily long, and like it took so long just to get to the end goal of having a good sounding song. But some very cool moments on it. I'm hoping it'll fit well into the album listen, like that it'll kind of flow smoothly through there, which will be cool. And then the last one I listened to was called Favorite Days by the Neon Trees. And the Neon Trees is a band that I've come back to lately from like throwing it back to the 2013, 2014 Animal, you know, Everybody Talks kind of days. Bangers, right? Like super cool band that I like a lot, and I even went back through some of their newer stuff and found a couple tracks that I enjoyed. And this one was like, it did take me back to that kind of style of their older stuff, but it felt like just they were so unnecessarily trying to be edgy in the song, that it felt like weird and out of place and like unnecessary. Like, I don't have anything, I'm not going to tell an artist where their boundaries are for what kind of song you want to make. It just, for the sound of the song, the edginess of it sounded really out of place and it didn't mesh well together. But still a really cool sounding song, like a super good vibe. A track that I'll probably enjoy a couple times throughout the summer, but not much more than that. So yeah, that was about it for new singles for me. Did you get any new singles?
Nope, just Olivia Rodrigo.
That was it. That was the only one, and it was trash.
Yeah, it's been a poor week for music for me.
We did listen to, did you listen to the Pink Tape, Lil Uzi? So we listened to the Pink Tape, and we also are going to spend a little bit of time reviewing one of the more unique albums that's come out this year. Scaring the Hose by Danny Brown and JPEGMAFIA. So yeah, we're gonna review, and this was unintentional, but two of the most very unique sounding albums this year, I think.
Yes.
But we'll get to those in just a second. But first, we'll get caught up with the reviewing of Secret Invasion. You've seen episode 1 now. Episode 2 just came out this week. We both watched it. Will contain spoilers for sure. But now that you're caught up, what is your thoughts? I kind of said coming into it that it was a good first episode, but I felt like they needed to take a lot of steps forward.
Right.
How are you feeling about it?
So to start off the show with that whole meetup and everything, like between the two random people,
Sure.
right?
Yeah.
You know, I'm going in like, because wasn't that the same actor that did that played that government dude in Black Panther?
Everett Ross is the character.
Yeah. So
Bilbo Baggins.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, you know, he's in it, and I'm like, oh, okay, like this is cool. We kind of get to see him like do whatever.
Story.
Yeah, like because he did a lot of bad things technically to America because he was
helping out.
So kind of to see, I was like getting excited to see his side of the story like after that. And you don't see any of that. So that kind of threw me off like right off the bat.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, so we're gonna get a lot of those little like whoa moments, like that's crazy. No, not really.
Right.
There were a couple.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of there was one when everything was going down in Moscow. And then the like last part of the first episode that threw me off guard. I didn't think. Yeah.
You didn't see it coming.
No.
When she was, dude, like 10 minutes into the episode, she's like, if you keep going down this path, someone's gonna get hurt. I was like, oh, she's dead.
Well, yeah, well, okay, but I thought I knew she was going to die eventually.
You just didn't think it'd be episode 1.
No. Okay. We started off real crazy. Like,
yeah.
Especially because when it comes to side characters, I feel like Maria Hill is. Wait, did that ruin it? Was that a spoiler? Oops, sorry.
No, we already said spoilers, so we're cool. We're chilling. It's your fault now.
Yeah. I feel like when it comes to side characters, Maria Hill is one of the more known one.
Yeah.
Because of like Avengers and
she's
like
been there
early Marvel, right?
Yeah.
And so to kind of just, oh, you got shot and you died. Like,
right.
Goodbye.
I'm done. Goodbye. Yeah.
I was shocked. Like I just wasn't expecting it at all.
For sure.
I agree with what you had to say last week. Like there's a lot of buildup for kind of nothing.
Yeah.
Yeah. It felt like there were a lot of suspenseful moments that just died for a sec.
Yeah.
And then like you don't get any answers right away, which makes sense. You're not supposed to get like all of the answers right away. Right. So that part made sense. The shape shifting looks really well done. Like when they actually change from scroll to person.
Yeah.
It actually looks super cool. So I'm glad they didn't like, I mean, unless it's
butcher
just
that.
like if it's bad CGI, well, I can't.
I don't think it was good. I think it was decent. Yeah.
I love Nick Fury's new look. Kind of that like, I don't know. It just seems like he's seen some things, and he's already seen some things. So to look like that and come back to Earth, it's like, what have you been through?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's really it for
right.
like the first episode.
Yeah, I think with his like touching on that aesthetic of his look kind of thing, and it does look like he's gone through some stuff. It gave me a lot of the vibes of the aesthetic of Hugh Jackman's Logan character.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know, we've seen kind of, and I guess Hugh Jackman never really played quote unquote a put together Wolverine, but like he had his moments where he like it was the aesthetic of Wolverine, and then by the time you get to Logan, you're like, whoa, he's beat up. he's not feeling well. And I think that gave me some of the same vibes for Nick Fury, that it definitely, the costume design plays into the character's persona for sure, and in the vibes that you're going to get from them from the show. But I definitely think it was like I was super excited to see Maria Hill throughout the show, and
Yeah.
kind of I felt like you said, she's a really well-known side character, but we don't really get a whole lot from her in any movies.
Right.
Like she just has her little moments here and there, and I was like, oh, it'll be cool to kind of see her as a more main character, get to
Right.
know her a little bit better, and maybe we still will, like some flashback kind of stuff. But like it felt weird for Everett Ross's character and her just boom boom, like first episode they're done. And that's, I guess, kind of what I was referring to, is like there's a lot of suspense for like what feels like these big bombshells, and then instead of like, I don't know, getting into these interesting storylines, it's just like dead, dead, dead. So yeah, I mean, going into the second episode, I was interested to see how they would move through that storyline. And I felt like they didn't really take any big steps forward. Like there was some interesting developments in it, but it wasn't anything where I was like, oh wow, we're really getting into the show now. It was like the episode ended and I was like, I feel more or less like I'm in the exact same place that I was after episode 1.
Yeah, I feel like all we figured out was a couple more things to the story. Like, oh, there's more scrolls than they originally thought, which that was crazy. And then like the very ending when we find out that Nick is married to a scroll, and it's like, huh? What
did he say?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So other than that,
right. I guess like as far as the I guess just the development of the situation more so than the plot twists like that, because like the situation kind of ends in the exact same place that it, like, you end with that big terrorist attack, which first of all, like, it's kind of crazy that I feel like in Marvel movies or just in superhero movies, there's not a ton of super successful like villain attacks on things that we see on that scale, where it's like they're talking about thousands of people are dead and like impending world war between nations. And so that was kind of interesting to
he
see
did not
those.
waste any time. Just
yeah, for sure. Like that was kind of crazy to see that it just happened that quickly. But yeah, there were some cool developments with things like that. One thing I will comment on is the awful, atrocious writing of this show. Like the script writing is so bad.
Is it?
Yeah, like that whole encounter between Rhodey and Nick Fury. I'm Nick Fury, even when I'm out, I'm in.
Yeah, no, that was stupid.
Who wrote this show?
That whole scene was stupid.
Yeah, that was some pretty bad writing. But like there's some interesting developments with like he's kind of on his own now, and I felt like that was really the vibe that the second episode was giving off of, like burning bridges with his allies in the Skrulls, and then the U.S. government and the Avengers people basically burning bridges with him. So, and then like Marie's dead, like he doesn't really have anybody that he can
go to
get help from. And so it does seem kind of like it's a little corny, but like Rhodey was saying, there's this threat that's so much worse than Hydra and only you can deal with it. And it's like, I don't know, kind of a lot of foreshadowing into what we're going to get out of the show, I guess. But I'm going to be disappointed if it's just Nick Fury taking on an army by himself and somehow winning without some good explanation. So
because I'm telling you, like, this is why it should have been an Avenger movie. Like, there are at least a million Skrulls on Earth. You are one man. No,
it's just not good math.
I don't care if it's a fake universe. No,
So. And I will say I'm curious to see how it goes forward. I'm interested. But after 2 episodes, I'll also say I'm concerned to see how it goes. Like, feel like it's at a little bit of a tipping point right now, and I'm worried that it's going to tip towards the bad side. But
it's not even like, at least for me, it doesn't feel like a bad show. It doesn't feel like a good show, but if it stays this way, it'll just be one of the most boring things I've ever seen in my life. Not good, but not bad. Like, I feel like it has its good aspects and elements to it, but it definitely has its off-putting and
for sure.
not so great parts. I'm back on hating Rhodey even more now. I can't stand that dude. Oh, he's so stupid.
Yeah, I will say I think it does bring back some thoughts to WandaVision because like I watched the show after a lot of people had already seen it, and so I remember everyone saying, "Oh, it was so boring. I only got through like 2 episodes." And
WandaVision?
yeah,
Wow.
because the first 2 episodes of WandaVision are pretty boring. It's
Yeah.
just like
And kinda
sitcoms
weird, yeah.
essentially, and so people were like didn't give it a chance to get to the interesting storyline, and
Right.
so I mean we do have a pretty interesting plot so far that
Yeah.
they haven't really done anything with is the main concern, I feel like.
Right.
But I am curious to see how they move forward with it, and I'm hopeful that it'll be good. But like you said, if it doesn't develop, then it's just gonna be
It's just boring.
yeah. That's all it's really been so far
Yeah.
without it developing into something.
Yeah, I almost fell asleep during the second episode.
It's a lot
Just-
of walking and a lot of talking.
Yeah, there
for
was
sure.
not a lot was happening.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
but
I mean, that's pretty much my
Yeah,
summation of
yeah.
the show so far.
I really like the intro. Like nothing to do with the actual show or plot or anything. But the little intro to Secret Invasion is really cool. I like the design.
Like the title sequence. I heard
I
they
like
made
that.
it with they had AI make all of it, like AI artwork and graphic design. So it's infiltrating.
Dang it.
Kevin
That's
from the
unfortunate.
FBI from your Snapchat AI is
He did it.
he designed the Secret Invasion artwork. Yeah. I mean that like we kind of mentioned earlier, there's not a whole lot of movie stuff going on. There are some big releases coming out this month, like it's July
Yeah,
now.
we got a lot of movies coming out.
Yeah, we've got Insidious comes out this Friday, Mission Impossible the following, and then Oppenheimer and Barbie, which I think we'll at least take a look at a few of those, if not all of them, and do some reviews on those.
Yeah.
So a lot coming up in the future, but for today we've got some interesting music to talk about, man.
Dude, I don't even know what to say.
Well, let's I'll jump into this Lil Uzi album and start by saying that when I saw this is coming out, first of all, the artwork's pretty cool. Like,
yeah, the artwork is really cool.
I don't know why it feels like so fitting for him.
Yeah,
but
it is.
It really works.
Yeah.
It's a cool look for him. Anyways, I even when like I saw that the lead single was Just Wanna Rock, I felt like yeah, it's a cool vibe, and like the production's really good, and it has that really catchy bit.
Yeah.
But I felt like it was a whole lot of nothing. Like it was 2.5, 3 minutes of pretty much that sample. And like he didn't really do anything with it.
Yeah, no, that was one of the most disappointing tracks. Just because everybody knows I Just Want to Rock, like that part.
Yeah.
And then that's just the sound.
That's the whole song.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah. It just goes through
There's-
like the instrumentation and it repeats that chorus like twice more, and there's
nothing else.
Yeah, that's
just
it.
a bunch of his little wow noises. That's what he said.
Yeah, dude, and that segues into the next thing about this album. I did not need to hear Lil Uzi Vert go that many times. He literally like every 5 seconds. It's so bad. That is atrocious.
Oh my
gosh. Anyways, there's actually like there's a couple tracks on this album that I thought were really well executed. The first one, Flooded the Face, I actually really liked a lot. I thought it was a super cool intro. It doesn't do a whole lot song wise, but as an intro to the album, I thought it was really good.
Right.
I also thought Crush 'Em and Spin Again were admirable tracks. They weren't like the best thing that I've ever heard, but they were pretty good. I don't know what Nicki Minaj has been on the last couple of weeks, but her features have been great.
Really great. Yeah.
Really
I
good.
love what Nicki's been doing.
Yeah, and I'm not even like some of her stuff's great, but like her flows, her rhyming, her vocals sound so good lately.
Yeah. I've always said that Nicki Minaj has been the best female rapper.
Yeah.
Since how do you say her name? Mary J. Blige.
Yeah.
Yeah. Since her. And she proved that I was right. Like Cardi B, trash. Megan Thee Stallion, trash. Those are the only really two, in my opinion.
She's
if you want to count Doja
Whoa,
Doja
Cat.
Cat.
Yeah,
She has her moments.
yeah.
Not better than Nicki.
You think Nicki Minaj is better than Ice Spice though?
We're done. Get out.
Anyways, yeah, Nicki on Endless Fashion. Even Uzi sounds really good on that Endless Fashion track. I like that one a lot. The song that surprised me the most was Nakamura, I think it's called. It's like 14. It's the 14th song on the album. He has like these kind of it's these vocal tones on the chorus where it's not like anything that he's singing, but he's kind of just hitting these different vocal ranges going through it. It's super cool. I liked it a lot. And then of course Just Wanna Rock, like super cool sample, but really like upset that he didn't do anything with it, really.
Because that could be a really cool song if you get really good verses on it.
Right.
Other than that, it's like pretty lame.
Yeah, for sure. And then Bring Me the Horizon is featured on Werewolf, a group that I feel like has good moments as a rock metal alternative kind of outfit, but they don't really like, they have some good moments on this song and a lot of moments that I don't love on the song, which I feel like kind of epitomizes them as a group and Lil Uzi's album as a whole right here. I also really like the Don Toliver track Patience. The End with Baby Metal, I like the Korean metal group that is featured on The End. Not a great song, but a perfect way to close out this album. Like, so perfect. I was like, this is exactly what should be the end of this album. It's not very good. It's a lot going on.
Yeah.
It feels like a weird fit.
Yeah.
But like, I'm listening to it. So there's something. Money, I guess. I also really liked the bonus track Zoom at the end. I thought that one was pretty cool. It felt like a more true Lil Uzi Vert song that he would do really well. So those were the tracks that I liked. As a whole, I thought the album, I mean, like we've kind of said, it was so weird. There's so much going on.
Yeah.
I felt like a lot of it was poorly executed, and I was also disappointed that with how many times I felt like the pattern of what we saw with Just Wanna Rock, where he doesn't really do anything with a song, appears here. Like that Travis Scott song early on, it felt like something that Sheck West would do, like kind of a throwback to like the Mo Bamba days of hip hop.
Right.
And they both kind of do a whole lot of nothing with that song. Like they just kind of like, I don't know. There were some cool ideas, but it just felt like nothing really developed. And then it's kind of like we said, interspersed with these weird, unfitting songs that are good songs, like the Nicki Minaj track or the Don Toliver track, that are good songs and good Lil Uzi Vert songs, but don't feel like they fit the tone of the album at all for me. So anyways, that's kind of my initial thoughts as I was listening to it.
Yeah. And then, so for me, I'm not like, I don't like Lil Uzi Vert at all. There are instances where like I'll vibe to the music playing, but me as a person will never go out of my way to play Lil Uzi Vert unless it is for a podcast. Other than that, no, count me out. I don't like him. I've tried so hard because I know he's such a popular artist, and so I keep giving him chances, and he just keeps letting me down.
It's things you don't like.
Not at all. And so I went into this album going, you know what? Maybe he's different. Maybe he's changed.
It's a new sound.
I will like this. No, there were two songs that I liked and downloaded. Those being Endless Fashion with Nicki Minaj, and then actually with Travis Scott. I like how Travis sounded, which is crazy because
you're not a big Travis
guy. I don't like Travis either. But lately I've been only liking with anything that he's been on or what he's been putting out.
Yeah.
So, well, I guess 3 out of the last however
long he's been making music.
Those were the only 2 that I really liked. The album cover is super cool. I'll give him that.
Yeah.
It gave me very similar vibes to that One Country album that you sent me, The Crow something.
Oh, the Hardy album, Mockingbird and the Crow.
Yeah, because like I feel like half of it was his style of rap and like what we know Lil Uzi for.
Sure.
And then out of nowhere, it's a bunch of like metal and rock and everything else.
Yeah.
Like I was playing games because I didn't actually care to listen to this album.
Yeah.
And all I hear is I just start hearing screaming from my from my speakers. I pause my game, check to see if it's still Lil Uzi, and lo and behold, it's still Lil Uzi. I'm like, this is terrible.
Right.
So yeah, it just, I don't know. I don't typically enjoy when that happens, when you split your album into two different genres.
Yeah.
Because most of the time it doesn't work out.
Right.
It's not very good. It's never really gets executed properly. And so I don't know why people are doing it or thinking, hey, that's an idea.
Yeah.
Throw it away. Yeah, I just don't like it.
Right. Yeah, no, I agree with you. I feel like there's definitely a trend that isn't very good within music where an artist will try to do that. They're trying to make like some kind of music that's experimental to them, like not necessarily new or innovative music necessarily, because it's something that other artists have been doing and doing really well.
Right.
But then they'll come in with something like this project that Uzi did, which has 26 songs. It's an hour and a half listen.
Yeah.
And they'll do it like I'm not a big metal guy, but it's not very well done metal. Like it has some decent moments. He features some artists that are good at it.
Mm-hmm.
And it's got like, you can tell he's got the money to pay for decent enough people to be in the room to make it decent. But it's not like great rock music. It's not great, well-developed song ideas. And it's one thing to incorporate that, like a new sound or a new style, into an existing sound that you're going for with your album. Like a lot of what, artists like Drake or Post Malone or Kanye do, they incorporate a lot of various things in where they're incorporating some elements of pop or in Post Malone's case, some rock and some country, and they fit it and piece it together really, really well.
Right.
And so that's one thing to do. But when you're dividing up individual songs, like, okay, like I'm going to put a R&B track right here, and then Baby Metal's going to come in to close out the album.
Right. Like, no, don't do that.
It doesn't feel like it fits very well. And I was pretty disappointed in general just with how the album turned out overall. And I'm not a Lil Uzi connoisseur. Like I'll listen to the good stuff. I'll listen to songs of his that I like, and I'll like listen to something when it drops from him, just because he is a big popular artist, and I've heard some stuff from him that I do enjoy.
Right.
But it wasn't a very good project for him. And like really the only reason I would ever find myself returning to any of this is like in the gym or doing something like that. And it's not at all because the songs are good. It's just the tempo. It has the right pace for that kind of thing. And it's not at all because like it was a well done song necessarily. It's just like, oh, it's got the right tempo to like, get you moving. Or
like I feel like I Just Want to Rock is a great workout song.
Sure.
You don't really got to pay attention to it at all.
Right. You're not thinking about that. Yeah.
So that's a great song for that instance. Yeah. But like the other thing that, to kind of add on to the whole split thing, I feel like the only other time where you could do something really well is like story based, not genre based. Like if you were to tell like two sides of a story, like halfway through an album, that'd be super cool. Like I don't really know of anyone that has done that.
At least not super well.
Yeah. But like that would make sense to do, just not two whole separate genres,
or at least that drastic of difference, right? Like you could do a little bit of difference or have like different individual focuses of a song, but metal to trap / R&B is a pretty big leap to do. And for someone that's not mega talented like him, it isn't very well executed.
This is definitely one of my least favorite albums of the year. Sorry.
No, I would give it a solid 4, being on the downhill scale, but like an album I didn't enjoy, but had moments that I was like, okay, this is like, not terrible.
Cool.
But I'd give it a solid 4.
Yeah, same, like around that 3 or 4 mark. And mainly it's because I think the first half, until it started getting into the metal portion, I felt like the production was pretty well done. Like I didn't really have a problem with any of the instrumentals or anything like that. And then Like I'll give props for the features he does get, just because even though it is two different genres, you're right. Like he at least got people that do it.
Sure.
So like,
yeah,
congrats. I guess
you know people.
you have money. We get it. That's about it.
Yeah.
Does he still have that stone in his head?
I think so. It looked like he did on the album cover.
What a fool.
Yeah. It's kind of crazy. He's Vision from the event.
I was just about to say.
Yeah, he still does on the album cover.
He's the modern day Vision.
I will give him props. I don't think you can make an album with the word pink in the title without having a Nicki Minaj feature. I think it seems like just a requirement of the law of the universe. So that's good. The other thing I'll give him props for is, in spite of how, wacky it sounds when he was like every song, I've done it like 4 times on this podcast and my throat's shredded, so I keep drinking water. So I mean, like, it's impressive. I'll give him that. It's not good, but it's impressive.
Dude, he probably doesn't do it every time. He probably got the recording done once.
Well, I'll come do it at your concerts, Lou. You just pay me well and I'll come scream in the middle of your songs.
Oh. It sucks that this isn't a very good album. It's like, I would want this in a vinyl. Just the cover of it. That's it.
Yeah.
But I won't.
I feel like every year there's an album that I like attempt to listen to just because the album cover is really good. And sometimes it turns out really well. Like Young Blue had an album last year with super cool album cover. And I was like, oh, I'll give this one a chance. I've been pretty disappointed this year. I listened to IDK's album because it had a cool album cover, and this one. Well, I would have listened to this one either way, I think. But in spite of having a good album cover, wasn't a very good album.
No.
Disappointing there.
Yes.
Any other thoughts on Lil Uzi before we move on from that one?
Let's move on.
Let's get off that album for now. Forever. Album number 2 that we listened to. It's an album that I didn't even know was coming out. These aren't artists that I'm super familiar with or big on. I know both of them. I've heard stuff from both of them. Wasn't really an album that I was like, oh, had circled on my calendar or anything. Came out a few months ago in March. I listened to it when it came out. I've listened to it a couple times since. We didn't really have anything to talk about, so I was like, dude, we could have an interesting conversation about this album because this isn't what either of us listen to a whole lot. I'm gonna send it your way.
How did you even find this album?
So this was just featured on Apple Music's new albums, like on the cover page of what is new that's coming out. Wow. I saw that. There are some music reviewers and journalists that I follow a lot of their articles that they write or videos that they do, and a lot of them have been very big on this album and very big on these artists, which is like kind of fed into me being interested enough to listen to it in the first place. So I mean, I have my thoughts. What do you think of this album?
Dude, I don't know. I listened to it for the first time today. Yeah. Like, mainly because I forgot to. But then I was like, okay, well, like, it's only 36 minutes long. Like, I can knock this out today and it'll be fresh in my mind. Dude, I don't know what I think about this album. Yeah. There were a couple cool parts where they implemented sound bites of different songs. Yeah. And that was super cool. Right. But what is going on in the background? What are these instruments? Yeah. I don't know. And why does one of the dudes sound exactly like Childish Gambino? Okay, I was saying that. Dude, I looked at my phone constantly trying to see, like, is this a Childish Gambino? Right, like, is he helping? Is like, what's going on? So I had the exact same thought vocally with JPEGMAFIA sounds a lot like Childish Gambino. And I do think because of that, the 2 albums that this reminded me of it reminded me of a very big blend of Kanye West's Yeezus and Childish Gambino's Because the Internet. Yeah. And those are both albums that have grown on me a lot over time. Yeah. And so this is like the 3rd or 4th listen for this album that I've gone through. And honestly, I still don't have a firm thought on where it ranks, like how I would rate it. But I will say, I've read some stuff about it, and like some of the critiques I have of it
don't seem uncommon, and even like I've also read online that other people say that he sounds like Childish Gambino, though not as many as I feel like should be saying that.
Dude, they sound exactly the same.
Yeah.
I agree. I think it sounded very, very similar to Because of the Internet, which I'm not opposed to. Like,
yeah,
I thought that album was intriguing, and same with this one. Like, I'm not gonna say it's a bad album. Like,
yeah,
I don't know if I enjoyed it though, just because I'm so confused on what was happening with the instruments.
Yeah, 100%. So like my biggest criticisms of the album is I feel like, and this isn't something that's uncommon for both of these artists, and I think it's something that they both addressed when the album came out and kind of dismissed as the album came out, like, oh, we don't really care.
Yeah.
I don't really love the mastering on the album. Like, I love the, like, you know, that the beats are so in your face kind of stuff, but it drowns the vocals out a lot of the times. And so I don't mind a loud album or like at all, but I want to hear both of them. And a lot of times their vocals are drowned out. So I feel like they need to go one way or the other and like kind of balance that out a little bit. My other criticism is that in spite of how much chaos is going on and how many samples there are, it sounds very repetitive. Like the beats all have the same aesthetic to them sonically. And I was reading that's because JPEG, who did the production, used the same machine to do all of it as like a challenge for himself for the album. And I feel like when artists do that, it's like, oh, cool. Like you challenge yourself. And in some cases it works out cool. Like Kanye's 808s worked out really well as a great album. But let's be honest, there's some duds on 808s. There's some songs that aren't his best work. And so I feel like they do themselves a disservice a lot like that. Like I know there's Eminem songs where he's like, oh, I challenged myself to only have the same rhyming pattern the whole song, like only use the same rhyme each line. And it's like, okay, that sounds like a cool theory, but it doesn't turn out very well when you use that same rhyme every line. It just gets boring. Yeah. And so I feel like I wish they would have had a little bit more diversity and variety in the sonic aspects of the beats. Vocally, I'm not massive fan of Danny Brown, but he has some decent moments where he's flowing. The other thing I don't like, I guess my last criticism is they recycle a lot of their own lines throughout like the album. Like there's a bunch of lines about Hulk Hogan and racism throughout the song, which like super good lines, super funny, but like the fourth time I've heard it, I'm like, okay, it's unoriginal now. You've used that same line like 4 times. I get that it's a good line, I like it a lot, but you gotta like diversify your bars, please.
The biggest thing that caught my eye was every single one of the titles to these songs. So it's for anybody who doesn't know, it's a 14 song album. And it immediately reminds me of My Homie Mikey, because when he makes a beat, he'll just call it whatever, like no thought behind it, just something random, like, and it's funny most of the time, like whatever. So going down the line, and yes, I'm reading every single one of these. You have lean beef patty, step a pig, scaring the hose, garbage pail kids, fentanyl tester, perfect. I won't do that one. Orange juice,
Muddy
Jones.
Waters. We'll just say the part
Muddy
two.
Waters.
This is a clean podcast on Apple, so we can't change it for this episode.
Got Orange Juice Jones, Kingdom Hearts Key, God Loves You. Funny enough, those are the 2 most normal ones. Also Run the Jewels,
which is that's actually a band name.
Oh, gotcha. Okay. And then Jack Harlow Combo Meal. Shout out to Jack Harlow, I guess.
Reverse shout out though. They actually dissed Jack Harlow on it. So
pranked. Ho in parentheses, Heaven on Earth, and Where You Get Your Coke From.
There you go.
I've never seen something so chaotic.
Great song names, man. Yeah, it definitely, but like honestly, going through all those names, it feels fitting, and like there are some songs that are titled after the samples that they used for it.
Yeah.
Like I think it was Orange Juice Jones was one, right? Who's an R&B singer, which they used the sample from his song. So like it makes sense, but they do make for weird song titles. And that's probably like what he named it as he's like remixing the beat. He's just like Orange Juice Jones. Okay. Next. But yeah, I like one of the things that I did praise this album a lot on and that I love is I love the lyrical moments where there's such backhanded compliments and references and like disses.
Yeah.
And it comes across in such a comedic and chaotic way that it reminds me of like early Eminem's Slim Shady LP or the Eminem Show kind of stuff that he did back then that made him so edgy and so great.
Right.
And I think that these two artists are at like a point in their careers, I guess, where they are doing that really, really well. Just the sheer amount of references on the songs is ridiculous. It's astonishing. If you're reading the lyrics or like just listening and following along, it's like every 2 lines they're just like backhandedly dissing somebody and like double entendre roasts, and it's hilarious. I think like they definitely have a lot of talent for that lyricism and stuff. It's very chaotic though.
See, funny enough, like I don't hate this album whatsoever. Like I actually enjoyed the randomness and the chaoticness of it. I do agree what you say when it muffles out their vocals. That's one kind of style I am not fond of because it follows along with how I don't like mumble rappers and stuff like that.
Sure.
Let me hear what you're trying to say. That's why I'm listening to the song. I understand people like the beats and everything.
Yeah.
You want to hear what you're saying.
Yeah.
Or maybe I'll just go find different music, you know. You don't have to appeal to me. But yeah, like I'll have to listen to that one a couple more times. And it's not a hefty listen either. Like 36 minutes for an entire album's real nice. Like, but I'll have to
Dude,
give
it feels like I just thought of this analogy right now. It feels a lot like a train wreck. Like not in a bad way, but just like in the fact that it's just barreling towards you, boom, and like 36 minutes pass and it's over, and you're like just left in the wake of what's just happened.
What is going on?
What did I just listen to? But I think honestly, like after the 3rd or 4th time that I've gone through this, I will say I enjoy it more each time I do listen to it. And like I think my favorite tracks, the title track is really good. Fentanyl Tester, I really enjoy. It feels weird saying these song titles, but like super cool song. Perfect has some good moments. Kingdom Hearts Key is pretty good. And I also really like the closer, Where You Get Your Coke From. The beat on that one is so cool. It's just and it's intoxicating. So cool. Anyways, it's very different than the mainstream, which I enjoy. Absolutely. Like I enjoy the diversity being brought into the genre for sure. But like I really am at a loss for words. And I like before we started this, I said I didn't make any notes. And you're like, it's okay. And I was like, no, like I don't know what I'm gonna say about this album because it's just so all over the place.
Dude, I'm not gonna let immediately after I listened to this album, I was like, Ryder's gonna be pissed. I don't have any thoughts about this album. What are we gonna talk about? Like, so I've just been dreading this all day.
Yeah. Well, we're here now. We're making it through it. I honestly feel like I'll get back to the reviewers that I follow and a lot of these journalists that have talked about this album, and a lot of them are giving it really high praise, saying like it's their pick for album of the year so far. It's one of the best projects they've heard in recent years. We did our Mount Rushmore discussion, not on this podcast. Before we started this podcast, we talked about who we'd put on our hip hop Mount Rushmore. I wrote an article about it and put it out there on Instagram and had some people reply to me. And I had one person that said JPEGMAFIA is like #1 on his hip hop tier for like who he'd put on his Mount Rushmore right now in hip hop. And the more I'm hearing, the more like, I don't know if he's there for me yet. I do hear it more the more that I listen to him, and especially with this new project, I think they did it really well. I will say I still feel like I stand by my criticisms a lot, which aren't like foreign criticisms to them. Like, I don't think recycled bars always come across well the second time. I know Logic's done that a lot in the past.
Right. Like with all of his biracial bars.
Yeah, or I mean, like,
and then he made a joke about it.
Yeah, and he makes a joke like on multiple songs. He's like he keeps using the line, "I'm gonna get ahead," like, or head first, like I'm a fetus or something. And
yeah,
like anyways, it just doesn't come across well when you keep recycling those bars. And like, it's one thing I felt like if they were to kind of go back and forth using it, like shouting each other out with the bar, or if it was like a continuous theme from the album, which I guess it is a little bit, but like the amount of times that various bars come back on the project isn't astonishing. Like, it's not like throughout the whole album, but I will say it was frequent enough that I was like not loving, like, I picked up on it and didn't love that it was so frequent.
Right.
And I will say, like, I stand by the mastering criticism, not that like you can't master an album differently than what's in the mainstream, but just that it doesn't feel completed. Like, I wish it would have been a little bit better done. And I would have enjoyed more variety in the sonic aspects of the beat making, which, like I said, probably comes from the fact that he's using the same machine. And I don't think a producer can't have a particular style that suits them, but just I feel like a little bit better diversity and finishes on the beats would have come across a lot more enjoyable as a listen.
Right. I think if I were to listen to this a couple more times, I think it could very well be a top 5 album for me, just because it's so unique. You don't hear this from anyone else
at all.
They give me very heavy vibes from Suicide Boys, in the sense that to me, they kind of just came out of nowhere, came with something super unique, and then like did really, really good with it. And then on top of that, being or putting something out, like, because of the internet, and was it Coloring Book that I listened to that had the same kind of
like Chance the Rapper's Coloring Book, Gospel.
Yeah. So those two, where it's like not my cup of tea, but I understand why a lot of people love it. And I have respect for the artist that did it, because it's not bad work at all, just not something I'd listen to. That's where I kind of see this album becoming, which is so weird. Because what the heck? I
definitely think, like I said, I mean, I know JPEG and Danny both have a big following as artists, and because of that are starting to get a lot more mainstream recognition, despite not being a mainstream sound at all. And I feel like Suicide Boys is kind of similar. They've built such an underground following that they're kind of just now jumping into the mainstream, being more well known. But I feel like it's very well deserved. Like, the lyricism on this album is great. The uniqueness and the innovation of the beats and how well they're put together in the intricacies. It is very chaotic. There is a lot going on, but it's all very well put together. It's very well done.
For how chaotic it is, it's very well put together.
Yeah, absolutely. As much as you can. And that, like, I guess adds to the train wreck. Like, it's just comes right through there. And anyways. I definitely, I don't know that I would definitely say it's probably near my top 10 right now. I want to for sure give it a couple more listens before I definitively say where I'd put it. Honestly, right now I'm feeling a solid 8 out of 10 on this thing though. Like, I really enjoyed the uniqueness of the album.
So like I said, I only listened to it all the way through one time today, and for most of it I wasn't even super focused on it. So I'd probably give it like around a 6.5 to a 7, which still is pretty solid for not focusing on it. I'll probably listen to it on the car ride home, so that I'm actually paying attention to it. But yeah, not a bad album at all.
For sure. Well, I mean, I don't know how much more there is to say about this. I'm kind of at a loss for words otherwise.
That's really it. This might be our shortest podcast ever.
You guys are welcome. You don't have to listen to us very much today. YouTube or TikTok man that said we don't know how to review music. Let us know what you think about this JPEGMAFIA Danny Brown record. Are we way off? Do you agree with us? Still not going to let you tell me that those weekend songs were good.
This is what he says.
Okay, let's hear it.
And I quote, You should not be running a music account. Leave that to the people who actually know shiz about music. They're whack. The Weeknd is a drastically better artist than anyone you listen to.
Yeah. Well, if that guy listened to our podcast, he would know that we
Right.
do like The Weeknd and think he's great. That the subject matter of those songs is just treacherous, though, and
At
very
X
toxic.
Bud KW.
All right. Shout you out, bro.
There you go. You're welcome.
Yeah. I mean, super cool that they did this record, and I feel like that it's getting recognition despite being a non-traditional sound for hip hop at all.
Yeah, I honestly love when that happens. Like, it's so cool to see any type of artist in any type of genre. It doesn't really matter. Just work, like, put so much work into their craft and then eventually getting their break.
Yeah.
Like, NF talked about that in one of his earlier songs, where it's like, you think that they just came out, but they've probably been at like this thing for like years on years.
Yeah.
So it's like, it's true. And it's super cool to finally see like them get their recognition, and especially good recognition. Like, it's nothing well, I don't know anything about them or what anybody's saying, but all positive things from what you've at least told me. So that's always great to hear.
Yeah. I mean, I'm sure they've got their haters out there,
Right.
just like everybody does. And honestly, I love on the album that they address that on the track, Scaring the Hose, right? They're like talking about, like, they kind of portray this scenario of playing JPEGMAFIA or Danny Brown in a car.
Mm-hmm.
And they're like, stop scaring the hose, give me back my aux cord. Like, and I could totally see that being like a fitting thing, because like, I don't know that I'd ever play this just driving around with the homies, but it is a really cool album, and it's obviously very well made. They've got a lot of talent. I hope that they continue to make some great stuff.
I'd love to see more development from them.
Yeah, absolutely. See more features of them on bigger artist projects or incorporated into bigger artist stuff.
Suicide Boys meets JPEG / the other person. That's a really long name.
Yeah.
Collab.
Honestly.
Song.
Or I would even love to hear what they would do with an artist like Kanye West. Like, I mean, he going through some stuff. But...
Canceled.
Yeah. Fittingly canceled, but like in musical theory, like, it'd be cool to hear a young Kanye West do something with JPEGMAFIA. Like, I think he would have the range to do it. Or even, I mean, I won't say Drake, but I think there's artists in the mainstream that could do cool collabs with that point being. Anyways. Yeah. Well, shout out to JPEGMAFIA, Danny Brown. Lil Uzi, you can still hire me to scream at your concerts if you want to.
Lil Uzi. Sorry.
It's time to retire.
Yeah.
For Lil Uzi.
Yeah. Take that diamond out of your head. That rupee. You look like a fool.
No, he's got the Infinity Stone.
No. I heard that like it was gonna give him cancer or something like that.
Oh no.
It was like killing him basically.
Oh, that's terrible.
Yeah, take it out of your head. Like it was cool for none of it.
It was cool for a meme.
Yeah.
Well, you can find us on TikTok. You can roast us. We love it.
The common pattern.
Yeah,
lately, I guess.
I love it. Roast us on Instagram too. YouTube Shorts. Full videos up on YouTube now.
They're on
YouTube, all episodes. And we'll continue coming to you weekly with these. A lot of new movies coming out this month, so super exciting stuff that we'll be chatting about.
Absolutely.
Cool.
All right, bye.
Oh, my butt always.